So we're continuing the Macedon Rangers Bowling Club interviews. Today we have Mike Keenan, who has been notoriously hard to pin down and actually get to interview. There's been a lot of peer pressure on young Mike to attend this interview. We're at his beautiful premises in Riddles Creek, and just look at his garden. Him and his wife, I'm guessing, are both keen gardeners. No, just Mike. So this is.
She's a
So it's all Heather.
both of us.
Okay, but they've done an amazing job on this garden. A lot of work. Can you tell us just briefly a little bit about yourself? We're going to deep dive into your past during the interview because you do have a very interesting story. But just do a touch on a very few, just a little bit about yourself.
Well, first interest in sport was swimming as a kid. Then it went to foot running as I got a bit older. Then into tennis. Played with Tullamarine, won a couple of finals over there, and it just went on, sport after sport. I did a trip overseas, got involved with VW, come back and had my own business for a while as a motor wrecker, then into motor racing, then bowls.
So VW, just for those that don't know the terminology because they're not in cars, stands for?
Volkswagen.
There we go. I'm sure there's not many that don't know what it stands for, but
the copy of it is People's Car.
Yeah. So German brand. Yeah. Not to be political, started by Hitler to make a cost-effective car for the German people. They've come a long way from their core roots.
Right.
So we're going to space out your life story between bowls questions. So I'll start with a couple of bowls questions and then we'll go into more of your past. So how long have you played bowls for, and how did you come to join Macedon? Was it your only club or were you at other clubs previous?
I don't remember how long I've been playing, maybe 12 to 15 years, 13 years. But it all came about by going up for barefoot bowls, and I was invited up. Sorry, I've mucked up. I went up to learn how to play bowls with the help of Brian Smith, then invited back to play barefoot bowls on a Friday night. As I turned up, I was met around the corner by Dave Clements, who says, "Thank goodness I won't use the explicit, but he said, thank goodness you've turned up, you're registered and you're playing at Bacchus Marsh tomorrow."
Yep.
And that was the start. We've
Start of an illustrious bowls career.
Yeah.
And from what you tell me, it wasn't at your own instigation of going to bowls. So someone else inspired you or pushed you out the door?
Yeah, my wife, because I was a mechanic and I was dirty,
Yeah.
and she wanted me to do something clean.
Yeah. And possibly wanted to kick you out of the house as well.
Yeah, right. She wanted a bit of her own time.
Yeah. I've only met Heather a couple of times, so she's a really lovely lady. Tell us the story of how you met Heather.
Well, I was working in England, and the best mate over there was in a wedding, and he invited me to go to his mate's bucks night. So when I get to the bucks night, the Peter there, who was getting married, says, "You may as well come to the wedding." He says, "There's plenty of room and there'll be a few Sheilas there that I could be a good night." So I met Heather. She was standing in front of me in the church. Her sister was a bit shorter. I fancied her sister, and I finished up with Heather. So that's how that all came about.
Yeah. So did you start talking with the sister and she said, "No, I don't want you, I'm going to Heather," or?
No, Heather moved right in because she needed a lift home from the church, from the wedding.
There we go. So it was the subtle, "Give me a lift, I like you." And from what you tell me, you were married very soon after. You were married pretty quickly after the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went with her for 2 to 3 weeks and then told her I was going to Canada. And we wrote while I was in Canada. And when I came back from Canada, she had our wedding arranged. She didn't have to have it arranged, but anyway, another 2 to 3 weeks and we're married.
Yeah.
And that was over 50 years ago.
Yeah. So from the start, she's told you what to do, and hasn't stopped.
It hasn't. You're right.
Fair enough. Recently, you won the best club person, as in the last few weeks, for your many unsung contributions to the club. You've done a lot of things for the club that not many people in the club would realise. When your name was read out, there was an audible cheer from you. It was clear you were very happy, and it was a joyful moment for you.
That was a little bit put on. But
What were your thoughts at the time when you won that, and what was it like to win that award?
oh, no, I don't know what to say there.
Yeah.
Because I'm a club man, and if anybody asks me to do anything, I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know the last season you tinkered for ages with a lawnmower that Paul Ritchie donated to the club, trying to get it to fix it. Paul was adamant it was working, but when it arrived at the club, it wasn't. I believe you spent hours and hours on that.
No, that's still an ongoing thing. But I'll get it going, and then they've got something to do the bigger areas of the club.
Yep.
And it wasn't going when it came up there.
Paul was slightly delusional.
No, I couldn't get all of the gist out of Paul, exactly what it was doing. Anyway.
Fair enough. You mentioned your sporting career started as a swimmer.
Yep.
And I know you swam for state at some point. Tell us about your swimming career.
Well, when I was a kid, I was given a season's ticket to the Richmond swimming pool. I was only about 7 or 8, and I used to go over there by myself. And there used to be an Olympic swimmer called John Marshall that used to do laps. And I'd fall in and do the laps with him, and I got told off by his coach, Tom Donnett, to get out of the water. We'd go over and swim on the other side of the pool. Anyway, I finished up swimming for Richmond Swimming Club, the Melbourne Swimming Club, and I competed in the Victorian Championships, which I finished, and under 13, I finished second. And the next year when I went along, all the kids, I didn't grow, the other kids grew, and I was just outclassed with their size.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my swimming area.
On the you didn't grow, I don't know if you've taken to the name, but obviously it's well known in the club that you've got a nickname for the Hobbit because you're a little bit short. I don't know if you're offended by that.
I am offended.
Okay, so...
And I've let Greg know.
Okay, I won't say that again. And we'll try to influence others not to either.
It's only Greg's size that saves him.
Well, you could always punch below the belt. Going back to bowls, what would you say would be the best memory you have on the green playing bowls?
Oh, winning the first premiership in the 3rd division. I think I had Jill in my team. We played it up at Lansfield, and it was a good feeling to win it.
Yep. Did you bowl well that day, and were you skip or were you a lead?
Absolutely on song. No. It was a team effort and it was good.
Yep. What position were you? Do you remember?
Skipping.
You were skipping. There we go. Like me, Mike doesn't mind what position he plays.
No.
We're just happy to play a game. After you finished your swimming career, I believe you went into running.
And because we moved to Brunswick, and behind us was the Brunswick football ground, and I went over there, and there's people, the running club, so I joined the Brunswick Harriers and had about 2 or 3 years at that, and picked up a couple of premierships. One was in D grade that I ran in,
Yep.
and the following year we moved up into ABCD, ABC C grade, which was a bit harder, but there were some good runners down there. John Marshall used to run with the A graders, and Herb Elliott. There was a lot of good runners there.
Yeah. It seems that once you started running, you never really stopped running. In that, from running, you've also then travelled the world. You took you years to come home, and you've had a very fortuitous life. You've experienced so many things. Tell us about your experience of Canada, or more how you got into Canada.
Well, I was drinking with 3 of my friends, the flatmates, and they decided to go to Canada. And they got there.
Sorry, where were you at the time?
In England.
In England. Yep.
London. Earl's Court.
Yep.
And they decided to go to England, to Canada, and they got visas, and I didn't bother. Anyway, in a drunken stupor, I decided to go with them just on a visa, and when we get to Vancouver, we had to front up at the immigration office, and I was 3rd in line. My first mate went up, Gordon. He said, handed over papers. He says, I'm immigrating. So the lady took the papers. Blue went up, I'm immigrating. And a chap called Peter went up, I'm immigrating. And she looked at me, she says, I suppose you're immigrating too? I says, yes. So she handed me all the papers, immigration. I filled them in there and got my green card. So I can still go back and work in Canada.
Without actually having immigration approval,
You're right.
Before you arrived.
This is 1967, of course.
Yeah. I'm not sure that would have happened in today's world. But it's an awesome story. Obviously, there's lots of great on-green experiences, but there's always just as much off-the-green experiences with bowls. What would be one of your best memories of an off-green?
Oh, I had a couple of favourite players up there. Was Sid Billinghurst, who showed me a lot, and another chap that some people will remember is Steve Miller, who was great company, and he got me involved in the working bees up there.
Yeah.
So that's about all of us.
Do you have any good memories that you'd like to share of those two people?
No, not really. They were just really good friends.
Yep. After your running career, I believe you said you went on to become a grease monkey.
Oh, that was...
Oh, wait, no, sorry, there was tennis.
Yeah, tennis.
Tennis. Tell us a bit about your tennis career.
I was on the steering committee for the Tullamarine Tennis Club.
Yep.
And got involved with that club, cleaning the courts. We lived right opposite the tennis courts, and eventually won a couple of premierships there. But Heather carried on playing ladies on the Tuesday or Wednesday, and she won a couple of grand finals as well.
Yeah. Was it Heather that got you into the tennis, or?
Yes. Yeah,
so once again, the driving influence in your sporting career. What would you do without Heather?
Yeah.
What would you say has been, excluding the grand final win, what would you say would be your best bowls game that you've played?
That would have to be the hardest question.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, there was one incident that I really enjoyed, and it's a chap that's taken this video. As I said to him while we were having lunch, can I make it a real short end? I want to put the jack in the ditch. And we were well in front, so it was against a contender, Gisborne. And Paul says, all right, if you want to have a try, you can have a go.
Paul?
I'm sorry, Shane. I get you mixed up. Shane. So we get the short end. It's on the tee. And down goes the bowl. Jack and my bowl finishes up on top of it in the ditch. So that was one of my best efforts.
Yep. And it's something you'll always have. There's not many players that could say that they
Did it on purpose.
did it on purpose, put the jack in the ditch with a bowl on top of the jack. That was definitely quite a good achievement, and it was incredible to watch. I remember at the time the opposing skip just shook his head and, like, what can I do? And we won that game quite decisively as well. Yeah, that was an amazing effort. So, you told me earlier you had been a grease monkey. You've worked on cars for quite some time. How did you get into becoming a mechanic?
It was just I was working part-time at a service station before I went overseas as a grease monkey. And when I applied for a job, I went to the VW, biggest VW place over there. And the foreman, the German foreman, said to me, could you do a clutch overhaul in a Volkswagen? I said, yes. Could you do brakes? I said, yes. He says, could you start tomorrow? So that's how I got involved with the VW people.
Yeah.
And that's where I met my New Zealand mate there, Ray. And he was a fully qualified mechanic when he went there, and he said, don't worry, because there was a whole heap of hoists. I had the hoist next to him. And he says, don't worry, I'll show you what to do if you... And it just snowballed from there. And the foreman from the place says, we're impressed with your work. Would you like to go to Germany to the school over there? I says, love to. So I told a few lies, what I did in Victoria or in Melbourne, and they believed me, and I got the papers to go to Germany.
Once you finished the course in Germany, where did you go to from there?
Heather and I decided we'd come back to Australia, or Heather would come to Australia. So we came back, and I walked into a job at the VW Volkswagen Pound Motors in the city as a foreman there and running the workshop.
Yep.
And they were going through about 20 to 30 cars a day.
Doing really well.
Yeah.
I know almost nothing about cars except they've got tyres and a steering wheel. So kudos to anyone that can actually fix the things. Going back to the friendships we make at the club, they're the sort of like the biggest part of why we stay at a club and why we get involved in the club. It's not just about bowls, it's about the people around the bowls. Who are the people that have made your experience at the club amazing? Is it just those ones you've already mentioned, or are there others that you could say?
No, I just like the club things, and I try to do as much as I can to help out. I'll probably get on a few people's nerves there, but I don't care.
You got to be you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. If you could have had your time over your bowls career, would there be anything you would have changed?
Yes, started earlier.
That's what pretty much everyone says.
Yeah, real early.
Yeah.
Because seeing the kids that come through now is unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, there's some good bowlers coming through. Yeah. Same question, but life. Do you think there would be anything you would change in your fortuitous life if you could have redone things?
None.
None. Yeah.
I've had a charmed life.
Yeah. Yeah. Life well lived.
Yep.
Um, I believe you're also into some of the crazy adrenaline stuff. Tell us about your experience of running in the bulls.
Ah, that was when we did a trip around Europe in a Volkswagen, 5 of us, and we went to the running of the bulls. 2 of us ran with the bulls, the other 3 didn't front up, and that was an experience and a half. Apparently I was recognised a bit when we went around the bars at night because everybody was buying me a wine. So we got out of it unscathed. I'll just add a little bit. My 2 sons that have been overseas both ran with the bulls. So it went through the family.
I guess when you ran it, there wasn't as many people running.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Easier to be
Yeah,
recognised.
because I believe you've got to enter now. You
Yep.
just can't turn up and run.
Yeah. Yeah. Much has changed over our lifetimes. Was that the only crazy adrenaline sort of thing you've done?
Oh. No. There was a lot that happened overseas. So I know that when we were travelling around, we went to Amsterdam and went to the brewery there for the tasting. Well, we got told after the 3rd day we weren't welcome the next day because we were just using it
As a free pub?
a free pub.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your past life or experiences?
Well, then it came up after VWs. I got involved in the sport of off-road racing, and I had quite a good success in that. There was a like they have, I can't think of the word now, where I won enough events during the year to take out the championship.
Yep.
So
quite an achievement.
yeah.
Old family friend of mine was in the off-road racing as well, and Mark Laidley. I don't know if you know him, but it was I think more the rally driving.
Yeah, it was a type of a rally in amongst the dirt and the trees, and
Yeah.
it wasn't overall I won it. I won it in the class 4, which is the VW driven cars.
Yeah. So obviously you've had a lot of VWs in your life.
Yep.
Do you still have a VW?
No.
No.
I'm
Why?
a Ford man.
Why? What went wrong?
Working in the workshop, all I ever saw was faults, and I've just steered clear of them.
Oh, fair enough. Okie dokie. So, the last question of the day is sort of I call it the hardest question. Makes you sort of think. Everyone gets it. It's why bowls?
Competitive. Love it.
A man, a few words. Awesome.
No, I have a competitive streak. I don't like being beaten, but I can take a beating.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today, Mike, even though it took so long, at least 6 months, to try to get you to the post.
Well, I hope the people that watch it enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed life.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And it's been a pleasure talking with you, Mike.
Righto.
Enjoy.